Welcome, everybody, to Freelance Writing Direct. I'm your host, Estelle Erasmus, the author of Writing That Gets Noticed, Find Your Voice, Become a Better Storyteller, Get Published, which was named by Poets and Writers a best book for writers. Every week, I speak with novelists, with authors, with writers of every niche to talk about their tips, their tricks, their strategies, and how the sauce is made, including creative advice. I'll talk about essays and articles and share my own experience from 3 decades of publishing. So join me every week and grow your business and build your craft with Freelance Writing Direct. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes. And follow along on Substack, where I share special clips for subscribers only at estelleserasmus.substack.com. Hi, everyone. It's Estelle Erasmus, and I'm so excited to share that I have a TEDx talk that's live now, and it's called How to Get Noticed in Your Writing and Beyond. And it's about getting noticed with anything, no matter the medium. And I share a story I once kept hidden, a strategy that changes how you open your writing, your speeches, your emails, your social media posts, and a reminder of how you begin is how you get noticed. So check it out. I'm going to include the link, and I would love it if you could leave a comment on the TEDx site, the YouTube site, and share it with anyone who you think will benefit and help their writing, their stories, and themselves get noticed. Thank you. Welcome, everybody, to this episode of Freelance Writing Direct. I'm your host, Estelle Erasmus, and today we have Shannon Luders-Manuel with us, and she has written the memoir, The One Who Loves You, a memoir of growing up biracial in a Black and white world, and we're going to get into it. But first, a little bit about Shannon. Her work has appeared in the New York Times, the Los Angeles Times, JSTOR Daily, and the Los Angeles Review of Books, among others. She holds an MA in English Lit from the University of Massachusetts, Amherst, and performs sensitivity reads for major publishers, providing feedback on Black and mixed race characters and issues. So congratulations on your book. It's getting a lot of critical acclaim. And I would say that it's really interesting because you talk about growing up biracial in a Black and white world, and that has so many permutations, right? Can you talk a little bit, just give a little capsule of your memoir, and then we'll get into what the subhead actually means.
Okay, sure. My book is about growing up mixed race with my white family in largely white neighborhoods in the San Francisco Bay Area and seeing my Black father sporadically who had substance use disorder and just having a void in my life with that and then trying to fill it in certain ways. And one of those ways being involved in a predominantly white, very large white church and youth group, and getting increasingly into the conservative white, like teetering on fundamentalist religion, and finding myself in an abusive relationship and then a marriage that didn't work, and then taking care of my dad at the end of his life when I was 24, and then having kind of a turning point moment.
Yeah. So you really cover so much with the underlying message of, I think, you're looking for maybe what you didn't get from your father, from some sort of father figure.
Right.
And you use letters and journals and all sorts of different artifacts from your past to recreate your father has passed, and to recreate who he was as a person, and more important, your relationship to each other and how that evolved as you did. So let's get back to the subhead, a memoir of growing up biracial in a black and white world. So you can take this very literally. The
Right.
family that you grew up with
Right.
was white, predominantly,
Right.
I mean, all white, and you were there
Hmm.
because your mother married somebody else, and she was also white, and so that becomes a part of the story. But
Hmm.
it's also the black and white, to me. I read into it when you got involved in religion, and there was this black and whiteness way of only one way of
Hmm.
looking at the world. And I've seen your other work, and you're a journalist and an essayist, and
Uh-huh.
you look at the world in many different ways, which I think came about as you got older and got your education, Northwestern, etc. So, how did you decide on focusing it the way that you focused it?
Well, my original focus was more on my relationship with my dad. So that was where the book kind of started because I really wanted to make sense of the hardest 2 weeks of my life, of taking care of him at the end of his life. And I didn't want my memory of him to slip away. And to me, he was such a large figure, and he wasn't like super important to the world, but to me, he was like larger than life. And I wanted to make sense of that experience. And so but then as the book grew, I had already written these other pieces about growing up mixed race and my blended family. And then it all just kind of came together into this one piece. And I just saw like how the puzzle pieces fit together. So it was really just kind of writing these disparate things and then just seeing how they all fit together.
And so you start with your dad dying. That's
Yeah.
start the book. And
Hmm.
so you're there, and it kind of brings the reader into how you interpreted what your relationship was. And he was kind
Right.
of not really there, and he moved a lot, and you just really didn't have that other side of you, the experience with the Black family or a Black community or neighborhood. So it's almost like you were feeling like you had to fit in and you didn't know how to fit in. And
Right.
he didn't help you with that other part because he couldn't help you with that other part. So I feel almost like, and maybe I'm wrong, at the end when you were taking care of him, it was like your one last chance to get
Yeah.
that piece of the puzzle.
Exactly. Exactly. That's how I felt too.
Do you feel that you achieved that?
Yes and no, yes and no. Yeah. We
Yeah.
never had the big conversation that he was always saying that we were going to have. We were at home like we often were. It wasn't this monumental experience, aside from the monumental experience of taking care of someone when they're dying. But I think that it was important because I think if I hadn't done it, I would have thought that it would have been everything I needed. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do. So you think that it was kind of like this last chance for you to have this connection and figure out what it meant? Because in
Right.
a lot of ways, he was a big talker. We're going to
Yeah.
discuss, I'm going to take you around and blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. And he was creative in his way of looking at the world. And I
Right.
think that spoke to you, but
Right.
it didn't translate. It never
Right.
translated to
Right.
the actual next step, which is the doing of it.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so a kid doesn't understand that. A kid gets caught
Right.
up in the magic of something. I think you were trying as an adult, as somebody who had more life experience, could figure out a little bit more about him. But the problem was when someone has addiction in their makeup, I think that's part of the grandiosity of the disease. I mean, I don't know that much about it, but I'm assuming. Am I correct?
Yeah. Yeah. I would say that's true.
So, what made you decide to call it The One Who Loves You?
So the title before that was Black Prince, which was my dad's nickname for himself.
Right.
And so my editor wanted to change the title because, the book is about more than just my dad, which, makes sense.
Yes.
So we were having trouble coming up with something. So she suggested I go through my dad's letters and see if I could pull something that way. And then I had like maybe three things that I pulled out, and we liked that one. And she liked that it could have like a double meaning, like not just that he loves me, but also the love that I find for myself.
And also the love, the church part of your book as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of covers it all. I love
Mhm.
that as a tool, if you're struggling for a title and it's
Mhm.
memoir and you have things from the past and things that are connected to your book. Maybe you could pull a piece of the language or the dialogue or something like that and use it
Yeah.
like you did. And I think that's
Yeah.
very effective. And so you write so many parts of your life here. You talk about when you're 5 years old and
Yeah.
how did you excavate all those memories? I mean, I know you had journals, but does a 5-year-old keep a journal?
Right, right. I also relied on my mom for things, but I also just I had to clear memories, like my dad's girlfriend giving me the magic wand. I just remember that really clearly, and that conversation that we had about, her saying that she wished for a car in gold light, and then she got a gold car. I just remember that so clearly. So it's just these certain memories, and I have a bad memory. So it's kind of funny that I do have these very clear memories, and I think it's just from recounting them a lot. And also my cousin, memories with my cousin, Adria, in the book. She has an amazing memories. So some of them are from her.
It's almost like he brought the excitement to your life.
Uh-huh.
Like it was always exciting because when you don't
Yeah.
have consistency with
Yeah.
someone, and that set you up for later relationship and then going the opposite direction with your marriage. So it's really an interesting psychological profile of you as well in your
Mhm.
search for that balance, in your search for where you fit. And in writing it, it's really interesting to me because, yes, you cover so many aspects of your life and you weave them together very nicely using letters, using memories of your mother, even using her journal entries, which
Uh-huh.
I thought was a good device as well. And each chapter is the title of a book, right?
Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh.
what was your choice on that? Like, why did you, I know books are important to you. Is that
Yeah.
why you did that?
Yeah, the first reason I did it is just because I didn't want boring chapter titles, honestly. I just wanted to do something unique. And then also there's that uh, this isn't why, but it was a nice tie-in where towards the end when I have that job and a coworker says, "Oh, are you reading all the classics?" And it's just kind of a nod to that too.
Yes, like you had, I know why the cage bird sings and a tree
Yeah.
lives in Brooklyn and a
Yeah.
room of their own. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it was pretty difficult because at first I only matched the title to the content of the chapter. And then in my critique group that I'm in, I got advice, well, you can't just match the title, the content has to be relevant too. So
Right.
then I went back through and I made sure that the content matched as well.
And
Yeah.
so it took you 10 years to write this, I think you say.
Yeah.
And was it that you had to have different insight that you didn't have 10 years ago? What
Yeah.
was that? Or something needed to happen?
Well, I just worked on it very slowly as, I was in grad school and I had jobs. And so it started off slowly and then it it gained momentum as I prioritized it more, you know?
What
Yeah.
are some of the other tips you could share if people are writing memoir? A lot of people are trying to write memoir.
Like overall tips.
Writing tips, more like writing to get your story across on the page.
Let's see. Well, first, don't censor yourself. Just write and write and write because you're going to go through a lot of drafts. So you just want to get everything out on the page.
Yes.
And also, there's a good chance that like your first chapter will be cut. You're by yourself. You know,
Okay.
you will want to cut your first chapter, but that you have to write your first chapter to get to your real first chapter, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That happened to me, and I've heard from others that it's happened to them as well.
What was your original first chapter? Was it something later in the book?
Yeah, I don't even remember because I think I cut multiple first chapters actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was that later in the process, or was that before the book was submitted to your editor at the
No,
public?
that was like 10 years ago.
Ah, oh,
Yeah. That was pretty early on in the process. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Wow. And
Yeah.
so, and what about writing? Like, do you think it's important to write a lot of scenes, even if you don't use them all?
I think so. Scenes are great. Yeah. Because they really draw the reader in, and it's important to do more than just telling.
Definitely. There's
Yeah.
the exposition, but the reflection and the scene kind of gets
Mhm.
that all going.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And
Yeah.
what was the challenging thing to you for writing this memoir? Because memoir, I mean, I'm working on memoir now. I find it extremely challenging because it's emotional.
Yeah, it is emotional. I would say for me, the most challenging chapters were writing about my ex-boyfriend.
Eddie?
Yeah, and I don't know that I would recommend this. And it's funny because I'm not an emotional eater, but like I just was like eating candy like while I was like working on those chapters because it was just really hard.
Were you worried that he might see it or no?
At the time, no, I
No.
didn't really worry about that until after.
Okay.
Yeah,
Has he
yeah.
seen it or you don't know?
I don't know.
You don't
Yeah,
know. Okay. Your mom has seen it, right? Your
yeah,
mom. You seem to have a good relationship with her. I mean, I know.
we have a good relationship. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And your stepfather?
No, he hasn't seen it.
Okay. Do
Yeah,
you want him to see it?
he's in hospice, so
Okay.
yeah, so
Yeah.
he won't see it. Yeah.
Because he doesn't come off well, and rightfully so. For me, when I was reading the book, I saw that you were trying to find your place. I didn't see a lot of you dealing with prejudice, except for maybe your grandmother. I know you felt you were treated a little bit differently in your family when it came to education.
Mhm.
I didn't see them treating you differently, or maybe I'm missing something.
Yeah, I mean, my family was great in that sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But then again, it's really difficult to be in a world that you don't have
Right.
both pieces of the world.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So how did you, I mean, have you integrated both sides of you? Like your dad's gone and you don't really have connections. You do have, I don't want to give away, but you have some
Yeah.
connections.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
do you feel that that part of you that, we write to understand ourselves as much as
Right.
we write to tell our stories? Do you feel
Yeah.
that that part of you is more integrated now?
It definitely more integrated. Yeah. Like I have Black friends, I have mixed race friends, I have white friends, I have Indian friends, I have Asian friends. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And
it's more integrated.
I think it bears importance to say that as a sensitivity reader,
Mhm.
you do have a sensitivity to people trying to fit in situations and deal with situations. So I think that really supports that aspect of your work as well.
Yeah.
How did you find that it connected?
Yeah, I think both my own experience and then just grad school, like undergrad and grad school, like prepared me for that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You mean like reading closely and
Mm-hmm.
looking at nuance, that kind of
Right,
thing? Like
right.
as a
Yeah,
sensitivity reader, you're looking for phrases or scenarios that are just not going to cut it
right,
because there's either some appropriation going on or something.
right. And not just that, but kind of the opposite can be true as well. Like one of the situations that I share a lot is a young adult novel where the character is mixed race. So the author is white and the character is mixed race. And the character doesn't mention people's races until like halfway through the book or three-quarters through the book. And, I mentioned that that doesn't work.
Right.
And so she had been afraid to have the protagonist mention these characters' races because she's like, well, the protagonist wouldn't want people mentioning her race all the time. And so, and I was like, no, it's okay. So it's sometimes it's just me giving permission, because
That's
people will
interesting.
be afraid. So,
Right. So it's like saying to people, yeah, it's okay to talk
yeah,
about this aspect of your
yeah,
background or the character's background.
yeah,
And
yeah.
what has been the response from your family, aside from your mother, for the book?
I don't know who all has read it besides my mom and a second cousin. So the second cousin loved it. She's not in it, so she doesn't have, any stakes.
Right, right.
Yeah, but she loves it. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what other feedback I get.
And I think
Um,
I read somewhere that your mom did apologize for the part that she played in some things that upset you in the.
yeah. We've had some conversations, so which has been good.
That's good. So, what did you most want people to take away from your book?
At first, I was just getting reviews from people on Amazon, which I really appreciated, saying like, like friends, white friends, or Jewish friends, like, oh, this is a great book, and I'm learning, I learned something about what it's like to be mixed race because I didn't have that experience, which is great.
Yes.
But what I really loved was then having mixed race people read the book because it's not like I wrote the book for mixed race people, but I just love having mixed race people read it
Yes.
because with all my writing, even essays, personal essays, and things like that, it's like I love it when people read something and think, me too. Yeah. And when people think, oh, wow, that's my experience, and I just didn't know how to articulate it or something like that. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Makes a
so
difference.
that type of feedback has been great.
That's great.
Yeah.
And so when you were writing it, what was your biggest challenge?
My biggest challenge was probably all the puzzle pieces.
Yeah, talk to me more about that. Like, what do you
Yeah.
mean when you say that?
So, like when I was first like laying it all out, I don't think it exists anymore, but it looks kind of like solitaire, you know?
Okay,
And
cool.
so, yeah, it just had these cards kind of.
Yeah.
So you just like lay them out and you could do like chapter by chapter. It wasn't for books. I think it was for anything.
Right.
And so I laid things out that way and moved the cards around.
I like that. So the puzzle pieces were like if you're putting something in from like when you're 5 years old, and then you have
Yeah.
to go to the next part in your life. You need like a transition to.
Yeah.
And so how did you do those? Like, did you go and go, oh, I need a scene in here or that kind of thing?
Yeah, yeah. And at first, it wasn't even the transitions. Like I wasn't worried about those. It was just like, this event, then this event, then this event. You know what I mean? And
Right,
like
right,
just putting all the events like in the right places. And then going through my diaries and then being like, oh, wait, this happened in this order, because it was very important to me to do things correctly. I
right.
didn't want to mess up the real order of things, you know?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. I didn't want to take liberties with that.
You titled it The One Who Loves You.
Yeah.
And in different places, like on one page, you say you have a letter from your dad, and each one is kind of like, we're going to do this together. We're going to do that together. And did I say I love you? I just did. He ends with
Yeah.
one of the letters on page 13. And then another letter, he ends with, it was great seeing you. We will do it again soon. And then you don't probably see him for 10 months or something like that.
Yeah.
And then one of them struck me. He ends with, I will call you sometime. I love you, your daddy. I will call you sometime.
Yeah.
So it's that lack of consistency.
hmm
What was your most fun scene to write in the book?
Oh, my most fun scene. No one's asked
Yeah.
me that before. I think it was various things. I think it was some of the fun things with my dad. That,
Oh,
like, for instance, there's a scene where we're crossing railroad tracks and he says, "Watch out for the train." And I go, "Ah!" And he says, "Gotcha." Stuff like that. Because he liked to trick me, tease me,
he
so
was like he had a playful side to him.
yeah, he had a playful side. Yeah, stuff like that.
And also, I thought maybe you enjoyed when you went to his office when he was kind of in one of the better jobs for him and
Yeah, yeah.
act and yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah. And some of the scenes with my friends. Oh, one of them was when my two friends and I went to go visit my dad, and we had that great trip. That was very fun to write, because it was one of the really fun trips I had with my dad where like nothing went wrong. The two girls and I just like had a blast with my
It was
dad.
like, and so what do you want to happen out of the book being out? Like, what would you like to see next with the book being out?
I just wanted to find readers.
Are you
Yeah.
speaking at organizations?
I'm going to be speaking with the Multiracial Americans of Southern California.
Oh,
And then I also spoke at a conference for the mixed race group at UCLA. They had a conference and I just did a presentation there.
are you working on a new book idea or?
Yeah, I actually ran a new second book idea through my agent when he was first signing me, because he asked me if I had a second book idea and he liked it. So I'm taking a break right now, but I will be working on that one after I take a break. But I want to be writing some companion pieces right now.
I call
Yeah.
them supplemental essays.
Supplemental.
Yeah, because they're not always so connected, but they have a tenuous maybe connection, or they you pull different elements, out of the book.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Follow me at EstelleSErasmus.com on my website and on social media, which is Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Estelle S. Erasmus. And we're now on YouTube for Freelance Writing Direct. Follow along, and soon everyone will be reading what you're writing.